All right. Well, I am live as the screen shows and says, and as my thumbnail has stated. I am going to go over my top 10 movies of the decade, and that's spanning from 2010 to 2019. But since we're already in 2021, I'm actually going to add 2020 in the mix to give you kind of like a bonus film. So I'm actually going to name 11 films within the last 11 years. Look, this is a list that I made. I put this in the description of the video, but this is a list I made at year's end back in 2019, and it just towards the end of the year, I was reflective and I was thinking about. I was like, you know what? I knew in the back of my mind I wanted to start a YouTube channel. It was way before I even started it, but I think that's when it started to be apparent to me that that's what I wanted to do. And I started to get into my equipment and started slowly to progress in that in January of 2020. And I started, as I seen on, I think I got a message from YouTube stating that it's been my year. So I think that was, can't remember if it was February 11th or February 10th is when I did my first actual YouTube video. So it took me a little while to actually warm up and get it started. But so way back in December of 19, I had it in the back of my mind that I was going to do that. So I said, you know what? Let me jot down some films. And I think the easiest way to attack and the easiest way to go about making a top 10 list of movies of the decade is to take the best movie of each year, according to me, obviously, and then generate a list from that. So that's what I did. I didn't just for example, Logan came out in 2017, Guardians of the Galaxy 2 came out in 2017, and if several other movies that I enjoyed came out in 2017. So rather than load up the list with multiple movies of one year, I figured it would be fair and easier as well to just pick the best movie of each year. So that's the way I attacked it. That's the way I did it. So I have from 2010, as I said, from 2010 to 2019. And then at the end, I'm going to tack on a movie from 2020 that I thought was my favorite of 2020, although we really didn't get much. But remember, and as I said in the description, this is a personal list of mine. It's my opinion. Obviously it's not going to be universal. Not everybody's going to have the same list as mine. I'm very curious. I would be very, what's the word? I would love it if you guys would, whether it's live, because again, I just went live. I prefer live chats. I really don't like to record and then go through the whole process of, I really don't have an editor. So I don't really edit my films. I'm sorry, my streams. And I'd rather just go live and then it goes right to YouTube from here using StreamYard rather than, do the whole download and whatever. You get it. So not many of you know I'm going live, so I'm not expecting live comments. If I get one, so that's good. If I don't, I'm just basically stating that after you watch the stream, besides liking and subscribing, if you're not subscribed yet to Just Your Average Joe, please go ahead and just drop a comment. Let me know if there's any movies that you agree with, any movies that you've loved that I mentioned, or movies I didn't mention that you would put on your own list. And also too, guys, one of the other things that I'm trying to get out of this list and portray to you is I might mention a movie that you've never heard of. And it might be because of my list that you might turn around and say, oh wow, Joe had this movie from 2011 or 2010 that he thought was really good. I never really gotten around to look at or watch that. I'm going to give it a go. And you might find that it might be your favorite movie as well. So that's the other thing that I'm trying to do with this list. So guys, I'm going to be very brief. I'm going to name the movie and then just move on. I might name a couple of tidbits from each film. I'm not really keen on all the directors of each film. I know most of the actors that were in each film, but for me to go over every little thing about each film, it would just take forever. So I'm going to just say the year, name the movie, maybe a little bit about it, and that's it. Okay. So starting at 2010. Again, this is my top 10 movies of the decade, 2010, 2019, and then I'm also going to include 2020 as a bonus. My favorite film of 2010, easily, because it's probably one of my favorite films in the last 10 or 20 years by itself. It's probably my favorite film on this list, to be honest with you, is Christopher Nolan's Inception. Again, that movie came out in 2010. I remember when I went to see it for the first time in the theater. I had worked a morning shift that day, and a morning shift at my old job, or my current job, but I just haven't been there in a while, was start a 7 a.m. start time. So for me to be there for 7 a.m., I would have to probably wake up around 4:30. So I remember going to see that film and meeting my brother and going to watch it after work, and I fell asleep. I watched it a second time. And of course, this is a type of film that you have to watch a couple of times. Christopher Nolan's known for that. And it really, it hit me. It got me so much. It really did. It's starring Leonardo DiCaprio, but it just got a huge cast. It really does. It has, Tom Hardy. As I said, Christopher Nolan directs. Ellen Page, formerly known as Ellen. She's now Elliot, but you know what I mean. Ellen Page was in it. I'm trying to think. Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Just has a huge cast. That's all I'm going to say. But it was the premise of dreams and shared dreams, and it begs the question at the end. I'm not going to say what it was, but it had people guessing even now, all the way up until now. People are still wondering what that ending meant. So I would definitely recommend watching Inception, and that is definitely my favorite of the bunch, but favorite for 2010. Okay. 2011 is Bridesmaids. Now, again, there were a lot of films that I did like, or at least several films that I did like in 2011. But Bridesmaids, when I first seen that film, I couldn't stop. I couldn't breathe. That's how funny it was. I'm trying to think. I know it's McCarthy, but it's not Melissa McCarthy. Melissa McCarthy. Wait, no, maybe it is Melissa McCarthy. Oh, guys, I feel bad. That's why I didn't really want to mention most parts of the movies. I know Krista Wiig's in it. I know Rose Byrne's in it. Maya Rudolph's in it. Which McCarthy is it? Damn it. I'm just going to say Melissa McCarthy because it feels right. I think she's hysterical. Kristen Wiig was hysterical. Rose Byrne, like everybody, I feel like each and every one of the girls was hysterical. And I definitely recommend that. So Bridesmaids is my favorite of 2011. 2012, I think, is a no-brainer, especially for Marvel fans. There was several movies that were leading up to this film. The first team up, Iron Man. If we were going back 2 years, I would have had Iron Man on this list. But it started with Iron Man. Then we had Incredible Hulk. You had what else came before this? Iron Man 2, I believe, and I think Thor and Captain America, if I'm not mistaken. Either way, Avengers, the first Avengers, number 12. Avengers for 2012 is my favorite film of 2012. I remember seeing that in the movie at midnight, the night it came out, and the audience that we seen it with was so engaging. It made the movie experience, it made the movie itself that much more entertaining. And I ended up going to see it 3 more times after that. That's how much I love that film. So 2012 is the first Avengers. 2013. Now I'm most people who are subscribed to me or know me personally know I already know that I like a lot of sci-fi. I love Marvel. I'm desperately and definitely love Star Wars. Everybody knows that about me. I mean, you could probably see from, I really don't know if it's prevalent behind me now because Marvel sticks out. But anyway, you can see the Star Wars posters. Either way, if you know me personally, you know I love Star Wars. So a lot of that has to do with my love for space. And 2013, Sandra Bullock, George Clooney, even though George Clooney, spoiler alert, it's really not much, not in the film that long. But this film, Gravity, is basically just Sandra Bullock in space by herself under the most intense situations you can ever think of. And it's what's the word? When there's no cutscenes, it's basically just shot in one take. And you can tell, like, it's just beat for beat, and just the music, everything about this movie just has you on the edge of your seat because you want to know how the hell she's going to get out of what she's into. But 2013's Gravity is easily my favorite film of that year. Okay, moving on. 2014, same theme, similar situation, but totally different movie. Another one by Christopher Nolan, and that is Interstellar. Now, Interstellar is another time, well, I guess sort of time travel, space travel kind of theme. Matthew McConaughey, uh, Anne Hathaway, even Michael Caine is in it. He's got no, yeah, Michael Caine's in it. He's got a somewhat of a small role, and John Lithgow. Yeah, it's got a Casey Affleck. It's got a lot of even Topher Grace is in it, but another small role. But it's got a lot of I don't want to forget Jessica Chastain either. Again, I really don't want to go over the whole cast, but it's got a big cast. It really does. Including a cameo, which I'm not going to spoil because that was a surprise for all of us if you're watching it. But anyway, look, Interstellar wasn't for everybody, but for me, it was definitely my favorite of 2014, which was hard. Again, 2014 had some other ones. I remember looking over the list of movies that came out that year, and I was like, oh, well, that was a good one. That was a good one. But I think Interstellar for me definitely takes 2014. Okay, moving on to 2015. I think it's a no-brainer. Look, really quick. I know the sequel trilogy got a lot of hate. Hands down, I get it. The Last Jedi was horrible. It was. I mean, all right. I'll take that back. I can still watch. I will still watch it. I will. I won't say it's horrible. It's a Star Wars film. I'm not gonna say it's horrible, but it's just not what we were anticipating. So it just makes it harder to watch, and it's my least watched of the Star Wars films. When I go to rewatch them, but there are elements of that film that I did enjoy. However, without too much buildup, 2015's Force Awakens. This was a film that there was a 10-year gap. We didn't have Star Wars. We didn't even think we were going to have an episode 7. Then George Lucas sold the company to Disney. And, that was announced, I think, around 2012, 12-ish, like around that time. And they said, we got a new trilogy coming out. And the anticipation and the buildup leading up to 2015's Force Awakens, it broke records. It was, at least in my eyes, a huge success. It was, if you separate it from the trilogy, it's just amazing. Unfortunately, its follow-ups just went in completely different directions, which is no fault to The Force Awakens and J.J. Abrams and that really good cast. So I just want to say 2015's Force Awakens is my favorite of that year. Hey, Captain Frank, how are you? I appreciate, as always, showing some support, showing some love. Thank you for the comment. How are you tonight? All right. Almost there, guys. 2016. Now, this was a tough one because there were a few movies that I can see where I might even personally pick other films for that year. But the movie Arrival with Amy Adams, Jeremy Renner, I guess you can say those are the two main characters. And I'm going to butcher his last name, but it's directed by Denis Villeneuve, something like that. He's about to do the movie Dune, which everybody's anticipating. I've never seen the original Dune, but he's about to do that. So I'll see that when that comes out. But, really good director, but Arrival, I thought was actually a solid movie. I really did enjoy Arrival. And again, if you do look at the list of 2016 and the other films that came out, there is an argument that there were some other films that I personally like too, maybe a little bit better, but I'm going to stick with Arrival. I almost changed it before I came on here, but I'm actually going to stick to that. So Arrival, and Captain Frank even says that was a pretty good movie, and I think so too. All right, 2017. Now, I used this as an example before I started to name my movies. And the reason why I said that is because it kind of bothers me that Logan came out in 2017, because I feel, especially coming from a Marvel fan, comic book movie fan, and especially as a person that has watched every X-Men movie since 2000, with the Wolverine character being portrayed by Hugh Jackman. So that sort of, remember, it still could be open-ended. They can still do something with that Wolverine character, but the send-off that Hugh Jackman does for the Wolverine character, the way, he basically dies. Again, sorry, spoiler alert, but, it came out 4 years ago. If you haven't seen it yet, sorry. But it was such a powerful movie. It really was. And I'm not going to lie. I teared up like a little bitch. I'm glad I went to see the movie by myself. I remember sitting in the back row, which I'm glad because nobody can see me tear like a little baby. But, it was just, again, when you're invested in a franchise, especially like an X-Men franchise that literally has been out for 20 years now. 17 at the time, but it's been out now over 20 years. and you have a character like Wolverine that's played so brilliantly and so well by Hugh Jackman, to see that character be portrayed in that way, and it was just a powerful whatever. But so anyway, what I'm getting to is that it bothers me because as much as I loved and enjoyed Logan, Thor Ragnarok for me, directed by Taika Waititi, was so enjoyable and a completely different movie. I know they're both Marvel. I know that, well, sort of. Logan's Fox, but they're all under Marvel again. I know they're both the same genre, but they're completely two different movies. Logan is not funny. Logan's a very solid, very serious, very dark film. Thor Ragnarok is I can see where people thought maybe it was a little too jokey, but that's just Taika Waititi's style, and I enjoy it, and I can't wait for Thor 4 to come out. I can't wait to see what he does with those, with the fourth movie. But with the inclusion of the Hulk, I know they have a little fight. It was not really a major fight, but it's just, again, to me, Thor Ragnarok, if you take it from an entertainment level and not just from an investment, an emotionally invested movie, I would have to say Thor. And you know what, Captain Frank, I agree. I really do agree. Hold on a second. I don't know. I actually do. So I'm planning on, and this is an open invitation for all of you, especially you, obviously, Captain Frank, you're here. I made a list when did I make it? These are usually dated. It's not. So I take that back, Captain Frank. Right now, as it stands, I got Thor at number 5, Thor Ragnarok at number 5 as my all-time favorite when it comes to Marvel. So I actually ranked all 23 films, which is very hard to do. But you can obviously see I have a lot of fucking time. And I have no life. So I did this on February 12th. You know what? I might have, no, I didn't. That's too recent. Now, I definitely didn't do this February 12th. I think I updated it in February 12th. But I basically did this a couple of weeks ago. And Thor Ragnarok is definitely up there for me. Like I said, it's number 5 all time on the what do you call it for me? The 23 MCU movies. But when you're making a list like that, and I'm probably going to do it with a co-host, I might have to break it up into two parts, because we're talking about 23 films. I mean, I'm solo right now. I'm literally doing 10 films, and I know I'm talking in between and I'm discussing a couple of things as well about the films, but I'm already almost 20 minutes in. Can you imagine what 23 movies is going to look like? So I don't know how I'm going to do that. We might break it up into 2 parts or just try to breeze through it. But I'm glad you brought that up, because that's a good segue into basically saying that I do have that in the works. Okay, let me go back to my my other list. Again, I wrote it over a year ago, so it's buried down. Okay, there it is. All right. So that being said, long story short, 2017 for me, Thor Ragnarok is my favorite film. But again, Logan up there, honorable mention. Even the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I know many people didn't like that one. They leaned towards the first one, which I think is a better film. But because of Baby Groot, just like Baby Yoda in The Mandalorian, just Baby Groot made Volume 2 that much better. All right. That being said, we're down to the last 3. 2018, I think, is a no-brainer, especially if you're a Marvel fan. Infinity War, one can argue, could even be the ultimate number 1 of the MCU film of all time. I'm not going to say where I'm on in that. Going to have to wait for my my MCU ranked films, but Infinity War was just that good. It's a movie that is just a culmination of all those films, but at the end, it just, and again, if you haven't seen it, it did come out almost 3 years ago. So guys, I'm sorry, but I'm about to say a spoiler, but at the end of the film, the bad guy wins. Again, it's technically a 2-parter, but it's really not. Like Infinity War could be is basically a standalone film, and the bad guy wins. So Infinity War, in that aspect, it got a lot of us. It had a lot of emotion. A lot of people cried and teared up at the end. It was a very, very good film. And that's the other thing too. Infinity War is one of those movies where bad guys win. It's not always good. It's true. You got the villain won. And you can also argue, I know he is a villain. I get it. Thanos is a villain. But when you break down his motive and you break down his not necessarily his agenda, but the way he's thinking, I mean, he's not really wrong. I mean, he's wrong to take matters into his own hands. He's wrong for wiping half the universe away. Of course, I mean, that's genocide. But you understand where he's coming from, and you can almost sympathize with that. That's another reason why that movie was brilliant. And you got to credit the Russo brothers. I mean, I think the Russo brothers can do no wrong. One can even argue, again, I know I'm going over, this really isn't about Marvel, but I guess it is. But one can argue that the best written Marvel movie is by the Russo brothers, and that's Captain America: Winter Soldier. That film is a solid fucking film. And The Winter Soldier is probably one of the best, as I said, one of the best comic movies written. So, yeah, hold on one second. Hey, Finley, how you doing? Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate that. Yeah, and I'm glad you see it that way. Again, I know Thanos was built up to be the villain because he is. He's probably one of the best villains or actually, if he is the best villain in the Marvel universe. I mean, that's. I don't know what they're going to have after that. They're going to have something big, to try to top that. But hopefully, like Galactus or something like that. Hopefully done well, because they tried Galactus before in the old Fantastic Four movies, which was not good. But, he had somewhat of, again, it wasn't all evil behind his motives. So, whatever. Again, I don't want to be sidetracked. This really isn't about Marvel, but 2019, favorite movie of, I almost said last year. I forgot we were in 2021. Favorite movie of 2019 easily is the second part of that film, and that's Endgame. Endgame, highest grossing film of all time. And, I've seen that movie, I think 3 times in the theater. It still gets me. A very powerful ending and a really good conclusion to that 23 film saga. It was unbelievable. Endgame was awesome. I loved it. Fantastic Four was okay. No. So I like the first one with Doctor Doom as the villain and whatever. And although I liked Silver Surfer and Rise of the Silver Surfer, which was the second one, that movie was horrible. It was just not a good movie. It wasn't. And as I said, I mean, they had Galactus, but they made him a cloud. Captain Frank says Endgame was awesome. I can't stay too long. Just thought I would come in and say hi. Endgame is just awesome. Gets me to tears every time. Don't worry about it, Finley, because I'm up to my last movie and I'm pretty much wrapping up. I always appreciate you and all the other guys in the chat that we're in, showing some support. Guys, also, please do me a favor before you leave. Just hit the like button and that's it. But you guys you do enough, especially the two of you, Captain Frank, Finley, and everyone else that usually comments. I appreciate it. I really do. And I don't feel as alone as I thought I was going to, because as I said, this wasn't a planned live stream. So I really didn't expect anybody to hop on and talk. So this makes the stream even better, and I appreciate it. All right. So that being said, Endgame, definitely number one of 2019. Now, I said, I'm going to do a bonus. Last year, we didn't have many movies. A lot of things were either shown digitally, and there were no movie theaters to go to. But Netflix did release a movie that I got to see. I think it came out in September, if I'm not mistaken. And I remember recommending it to 2 other people, and they loved it. And a lot of people were, I feel like a lot of people were talking about it, but I feel like not enough people were talking about this film. And I believe it was directed by Aaron Sorkin. I got to double check that. Huge cast. It's called The Trial of Chicago 7. And I really don't want to talk much about it, because you really just have to watch it. And it's one of those, it's an era piece. I believe it's set in the 60s or 70s, if I'm not mistaken. And but it's a very powerful movie. I love the ending. I love the cast. Go and watch it. The Trial of Chicago 7. And that's it. So that's basically my top 10 films of the last decade. And I also, as a bonus, included 2020, in which I pick in The Trial of Chicago 7. And that's it. So guys, any of the films that I mentioned, if you haven't seen it yet, just go ahead and, give it a look, give it a go. And if you do that, let me know if there's anything that I told you to go watch that you did and you maybe didn't like, you weren't crazy about, or you're like, you know what, Joe, that was a good recommendation and thank you. But I have a feeling that most of the films that I did mention on this list, almost all of you guys did see anyway. So again, I want to thank Finley and Captain Frank for your comments, and I really appreciate that as always. As I said, please click that like button, and that goes for you guys watching this non-live. Click the like button. Show me some love. Subscribe if you're not subscribed to me yet, and that's it. And as I said, Finley, I don't know if you were here yet. Before you leave, I did say that I'm planning on doing a all 23 MCU film ranking. So I'm going to go ahead and do that soon. It's just that I don't know if I'm going to do that in one stream or if I'm going to break it up into two streams because of the size of how many films there are. But uh, I'm glad. I'm glad. Thank you. I appreciate that very much. You guys have a great day. It's been Just Your Average Joe with my top 10 movies of the last decade. I hope you enjoyed it. Be well, and I'll see you guys soon.